Welcome back to Hoosier Homes and Hustles. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jessica Williams.
And I'm Stacy Preston, and we're both brokers with eXp Realty in Central Indiana. If you're passionate about real estate, like and subscribe to join the hustle.
Today, we're continuing our Battle of the Burb series, where we highlight different Indy-area suburbs with the help of our eXp agents who know them best. Today, we're diving into Zionsville, Indiana with special guest Stacy Wilson, a Zionsville resident and eXp agent. She's sharing everything you need to know, from market trends to local favorites and what makes Zionsville an exciting place to live.
I'm so excited to hear about this. But before we dive in, we wanted to share a few quick stats related to the Zionsville market for 2024, and these are from the Indiana Association of Realtors and RPR. In Zionsville, the median sales price was $663,000. Sellers are receiving 99.2% of their asking price. Average days on market are 6. Change in estimated value, it's gone up 5.8% in 12 months and 15.97% in 24 months. So very strong market, one of the higher end suburbs in all of Indiana.
Okay, so let's dive in. Stacy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Stacy, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've lived in Zionsville, hobbies, what you do outside of real estate, etc.
Well, we moved to Zionsville in 2014, and we moved there due to location and schools. Our daughter was 4 years old, and now we have our 15-year-old daughter and an almost 3-year-old son. And our hobbies really revolve around our children. Our daughter has been dancing on the west side of Indy for 12 years, and so that takes up a lot of the time. And now we're getting really ready to get started in the hobbies that come with having a young boy. So we're really looking forward to getting involved more in Zionsville with the sports and those teams. We are a camping family, but that's kind of being put on the back burner as now we are becoming a Disney family. So, so that is definitely one of the things about us.
Every suburb has its perks. What is one thing you absolutely love about living in Zionsville?
So my absolute favorite thing about living in Zionsville is the rail trail. And, you know, it extends 8 miles in Zionsville. It actually goes from Zionsville to Whitestown, and then it picks back up in Lebanon and goes to Thorntown. It connects different parks, so I could hit the trail and walk all the way to Whitestown parks if I wanted to. One thing I truly love is just the peace I get about hitting that pavement and being there. The rail trail goes back many years, obviously to the railroad, and there's stories of Abraham Lincoln traveling on there with when he was being taken back to be buried. So there's history there, and there's just such a sense of peace, and you're at one with nature. I've been on the rail trail and I've seen deer, and they do different art pieces that they'll place out there. It's just really amazing, and you'll see. I love it because you see everything from track teams running in the spring and in the fall, whether it's at the high school or one of the middle schools or elementary, and you see kids riding their bikes to and from school, and people, just catching up and walking. And it really is one of the things I love so much about being there. I'm about 7 minutes walking from home to hit the trail, and I can hit it and then have my son in the stroller, and we'll be at a park, sometime short later, or the splash pad. So really, it's just, I can't say enough about how much I love the rail trail.
I mean, you can even hit up retail and restaurants from that trail too. I've been on it before, and it's definitely a nice perk of that town.
You can. It actually goes through the village. So if you're not familiar with Zionsville, the village is where the Brick Street is. It's where the true charm of Zionsville resides. And yeah, the rail trail runs through there, and you can connect to it on the other side and, hit another path.
Love that. Especially, Carmel has the Monon, Fishers has the Nickel Place, so it's really nice to be able to highlight the fact that Zionsville has a trail as well. Now, on the flip side, no place is perfect. So what is something that isn't necessarily your favorite aspect of living in Zionsville?
So this is going to probably sound bad being on a real estate, podcast, but one of the things that we moved to Zionsville, and we were like, okay, this is a great place. It's set. It's not going to continue to grow. It's amazing. There's all this land. Well, as we know, Carmel and Westfield and Fishers and all those places are growing. So Zionsville has to grow. I mean, we have to have tax money to pay for things, so they have to keep up. And while it's great for real estate, one of the things that I just have such a hard time with is seeing all this land being developed and placed for new homes. And the reason why I have a hard time with that is because I feel so bad for the animals, for the for the deer and all of these wonderful creatures that I used to be able to see in my backyard and different places, make sure when you're driving down the street you're not hitting, watch out for where you're going. But that would be one of the hardest parts about living in Zionsville right now. And like I said, while it's great for real estate, it really is hard to see the natural habitat being taken away in those areas because that's one of the things that makes it so beautiful out there. There's still plenty of land, but it definitely is hard. And then with that, with the development comes the increase of property taxes. And as a resident there, uh, it does get harder. It hits your pocket when you know, when Zionsville's already a more expensive place to live and you're budgeting for that. And the continued growth brings in more property taxes. So there's definitely those things to consider. And those would be the things that, while it's beneficial for real estate, it's some of the things I personally take a little bit of a heart to.
Well, and I think that's a good point because every suburb we've highlighted so far, that is definitely going on. And I think it's because they are great places to live and they're attractive for development. So it kind of comes with that territory.
It's a double-edged sword a little bit, but I appreciate you being so candid about that.
So a lot of folks ask about schools when choosing a place to live. And I know you've got kids in the Zionsville school district. So what can you tell us about being a part of that?
We love being in the school district. Like I stated before, that was one of the reasons we moved there. Depending on what report you're looking at, Zionsville's always in the top 5 for the state for public schools. We love being there. And my daughter has actually been. She was in one elementary, but she was in 2 different middle schools because we went through a redistricting and between 6th and 7th grade, which is probably the hardest time in a child's life to be redistricted. But she handled it well. We actually favored we favored the move and the change, and now she's a freshman in high school and she knows students from everywhere because she'd been to both middle schools, so that's been a positive. But I can tell you that I have nothing but positive to say. I mean, we've had a few hiccups over the years. I mean, who doesn't when their children has been in the school system that long?
Right.
But I feel like for the most part everything has gone very well. There has been really wonderful field trips beyond that. You know, we have done things in elementary, like going to, Dole's Tree Farm and the Indiana State Museum. And in middle school, last year, we went on an art trip to Chicago, and I loved that. And I know that this is like outside of the school, but it's part of what the school did. And it was an architectural trip. And being in real estate and being someone who loves and can look at things and just see the and appreciate the history and everything. Like we went to the Frank Lloyd Wright home, and I hope everyone knows who Frank Lloyd Wright is, who's in real estate, because I mean, what an architect! And I probably got more out of that trip than my kids did, but than
Right.
the students did. But it was just amazing. 2 years ago, I didn't make it on this trip because I had just had my son, but they took private jets to Disney. Their band did, and my husband went on that trip. I mean, first time my daughter flew, and it was on a private jet
Wow.
out. And they went to Disney, and the school really does make a lot out of the trips, and and it's just been phenomenal. And I will also say that last year, for the whole school year, we had guardianship of a young man who we had really no history on, and I worked with the schools, and I have nothing but positive feedback to give on how well they worked with us and worked with him. And the hardest thing about when he left us was knowing that he was leaving Zionsville School District. It was really hard because I knew that he was getting everything he needed. He has some special needs, and the assistant principal was involved and told me how wonderful he was doing. So I was really impressed with how well the school handled a new student who didn't know anybody, who had some issues and had some other things, maybe going on that he needed assistance through. And the school was just amazing, from getting him registered to, I mean, to just giving him love every day. And I really just, I mean, these are all positive things outside of the education part of it. I mean, they're,
Right.
they're getting a great education there, but I feel like being in a school system is so much more than just going there and learning. You really need to feel the love from your educators. And I really, truly think that that is present in Zionsville.
It's great to hear about all those resources they're offering.
You've got kind of a unique perspective in that your daughter's in high school. You've had the child that you had guardianship over. So you've kind of seen that from both perspectives. But I also know you have a preschooler. Are there any preschool things in Zionsville that you think our listeners should be aware of?
Yeah. So when it came time to put my son into preschool, there's a Zionsville Moms page that it's like the know all. I mean, I'm telling you, you'll just
Yes,
get wonderful
those are
answers
the
there.
best groups.
It really is a supportive group. And so my son, he goes to Christ Lutheran and in Zionsville, and I heard nothing but positive feedback from people on that location. And it's not the only one. I mean, there are other ones. I chose that one mostly because it's in my neighborhood. but
Yeah.
but beyond that, it really was just positive information about the preschools out there, and I think I would have been comfortable with choosing any of the ones that were recommended. Yeah, it's definitely hard to get into a preschool in Zionsville, probably as it is everywhere, just because of the cost of daycare. But he absolutely loves it there. I'm I'm just amazed by what he comes home and learns. He's there 3 hours, 2 days a week, and he's learning so much. And just as an example, this morning he was, he's all boy. He was running to go into the classroom, and teacher said, "Well, we don't run when we get in the classroom." And he ran up to the door, stopped, and walked in. And my husband was with me. We were pretty impressed. So
Yeah.
I think that they're gentle, they're caring, they're compassionate, and I think they follow the same guidelines as the school system does, and it's just wonderful.
That's great. And I love that you highlighted the moms groups because those are such a good resource if you're moving into a new area to find them on Facebook. And some of them are great, some of them are crazy. You have to pick your group carefully. But I know that in some of our other suburbs, those are wonderful resources.
Yeah, I mean, in that group, they have someone who is monitoring it, so we're not getting, it's not a chatter group. It is
Right.
definitely a resource group.
That's awesome.
And I want to highlight then that my husband is part of a dad's group on Facebook. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not part of the dad's group. I don't know what all but he'll come home or he'll just be sitting there on the couch and he'll read something and he's like, "Hey, I got to go do a quote for someone who reached out to me, or I've got this going on with business." So, it's a great resource for dads too.
It's not all just dad jokes.
Not just
It's
that.
not.
Okay. Well, developments are always changing the landscape of a town, which you've kind of already alluded to for Zionsville. But are there any major projects or developments going on right now that folks should take into consideration if they're considering a move?
There's quite a few, as I was saying earlier. And one thing I did want to note is that Whitestown is really kind of part of what's going on in Zionsville. Now, it is a separate town and a separate talk, but there are some developments there. So if you don't know anything about Whitestown, the school system for them is divided. They don't have their own school community. So depending on where you live, you either go to Zionsville schools or to Lebanon schools. So part of the growth with Whitestown is growing into Zionsville as well. And if you've been up towards Whitestown at all, it is, I mean, there are so many things coming there and so much going on. So like I said,
Yeah, that's such a good point because it's confusing when you're looking at Whitestown's like, where's the schools? What school district is this? So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, so I think that most of the growth that's going on right now with Whitestown is going to Zionsville schools, which is part of the reasons why, we had to go through a redistricting and then plus with all these other locations. So, but I'm just going to focus on the areas that are in Zionsville that are growing currently.
Okay.
One that is coming soon is called the Wild Air development. They have broken ground. They are supposed to start on homes in July, is starting on their construction. So this is going to be a huge community in Zionsville, not far from the center of Zionsville, not far from the village. I drive by it all the time, and they're definitely doing work on it. This is probably one of the bigger areas where I'm like, oh, there was so much farmland, and now it's it's this development. But here's the thing: once it's developed, it's going to be
It'll be
amazing.
beautiful. Yeah,
And
I've seen it too. It looks really
they're
cool.
they're keeping areas in there, for they're preserving some land and some
Green
things.
spaces.
Yeah, so it's going to be amazing. I mean, they're definitely keeping up with the charm of Zionsville with it. But in there's going to be multiple sections. So there's going to be large custom homes. There'll be boutique custom homes, single-story homes, single-family homes and townhomes, multifamily housing, and cottages with shared green spaces. So it definitely is going to offer multiple aspects for people. And I think it would be great for someone who's like, hey, I want to buy in Zionsville and I want to have my parents downsize and move. Like the adult cottages with the green space would be an amazing place, and you would be close to your to your family. But this land is going to come with a clubhouse. It's going to offer, golf simulators, dog parks, fitness center, pools. They're going to have, coffee shops, probably a restaurant. So there's going to be a lot there to be offered. And they're one of the things that they're hoping is to have a senior facility at some point.
Cool.
So
So it
I
kind of
think
hits all the generations.
it
Yeah.
does. So like I said, it's going to be beautiful when it's done, and I'm really excited about it. And the great part about it is it's not far from me, so I'm going to be able to walk there, and that's another
Even
amazing
better.
thing that I love about Zionsville is the walking. One other location is the Promontory. So if you went to Homerama and this past year in 2024, you would have gone there. It is very north in Zionsville. It's a private lake community, and if you want to buy a home there, I welcome being your realtor because it is definitely on the higher end of what anyone's going to be spending
Yes,
for a home.
those homes are stunning. I can't get over how amazing they were when we toured those.
They are amazing, and then it's an equestrian area too. So that if
Yeah.
you have horses and you want a private lake, and you want to be in Indiana, great place for you. I wanted to also highlight that coming to Zionsville obviously is a big investment because homes there are not on the lighter side on payments. So there are different areas that there are townhomes that you can purchase, and they are building a new one that has already been started. It's called the Towns of Appaloosa, and it's up on North Michigan Road 421. And outside of there, they have added. I mean, there's a Verde and Aspasia coffee shop and a bank, and it's just the area there is growing. And so, if a townhome is something more that you feel would be in your budget, they're 2 to 3 story townhomes. They run starting around 435. So that's one of the less expensive options in Zionsville if that's the move you want to make. Then there's Holiday Farms, which has been growing, and that was part of Homerama a few years back. They are still continuing to develop the area. This is a private golf course, the Pete Dye Golf Course. So if you want to get in on that community, they are still building homes there. And I think now they're doing, I wouldn't call them small homes, but they're definitely smaller, I think,
Right.
than the original layout of what it was in the new area they're building. And then another one that is going up, which is not far from the Wild Air, is the Courtyards of Russell Oak. Epcon community are low maintenance, single story homes. And originally, if you know anything about Epcon, they came out and they were for the mature buyer. And they kind of have done away with that. It's more, you just want low maintenance living. They have courtyards out back. They have a clubhouse and a pool area. So I think that they start around 535 on their building. But it would be a great place for, I wish I could convince my parents to move there and downsize because it would be great to have someone, if you don't want to go necessarily to a retirement facility, I think it'd be a great place to, call home and build and have a new place and have a great community.
Those are some great communities. Thank you for sharing those with us. Let's talk about some advice now. If someone is considering a move to Zionsville, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
I think moving to Zionsville is what you make out of it because there is so much you can do there. And then you can also just relax, just sit out in your backyard and relax. It's a great place. It's so quiet. And, I grew up in Speedway. I've lived in Avon, and I can tell you how much I love living in Zionsville just because it's a slower pace. Traffic is different. People are different. No one's in a hurry, really. It's amazing. And you can come there and you can make what you want of it. So, I have been there 10 years and I have grown differently, through the community, whether it was being part of the PTO or, I'm involved in a group called Insomnia Mom, which is a great resource for places, for businesses, and for local people to go and find where they can go. I'm involved in a mom's group. There's so many things you can get involved in, things at the library. There's just so many different things to do, and I only know the things that I know about. There are so many groups that people get involved in. So like I said, you can come there and you can be as involved or as uninvolved as you want. You can make the life you want there just by simply being a part of the community.
All right. So a lot of talk about community, and we all love to support local businesses. So if you could give us maybe your top three, it might be hard, but top three local favorites you like to frequent.
So this actually, yes, was very hard because Zionsville is made up of a lot of small businesses.
I really
And
think it's just what gives it the charm. I love the businesses there.
it is. Brick Street in Zionsville is amazing. There's so much that just goes on there, and there's so many local businesses that aren't on Main Street as well, but on the Brick Street. But I wanted to just say I am huge on supporting small business, small local, between doing my own real estate company. And we have a business we run. My husband owns Cable Crew Inc., which is a structured cabling company. So we are a small business and we depend on people to refer us and want to work with us. It's really important to just work with those businesses and support them so that, you want to, as a small business owner, you want to give back. And some of my favorite places, I brought some samples of today because, I just love them. So why would I not want to share?
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, we're very grateful for these samples.
It really is hard to come up. Like yesterday, I was walking out on the brick street, picking up some of my stuff for today's meeting. And I was like, man, how do I pick just 3 places? But I've already got them picked and I'm already purchasing things. Right. So, Zionsville olive oil. I love this place. I love to go in there and taste. They have samples of different infused olive oils and balsamics. And so today I brought a robust and I brought some other seasonings. I brought a blood orange olive oil to dip with some bread. Zionsville olive oil is an amazing place. I would definitely check them out. I have quite the collection on my kitchen counter of their bottles and their flavors. There's endless possibilities, and the owners there are great, and they can tell you a million different recipes to do.
Well, we just tried this blood orange oil before the show, and wow, I've never tried that before. It was so good.
It was definitely a crowd pleaser.
So what we brought to pair that with was the Baker's House in Zionsville, which actually just had their grand opening recently. She was prior known as the sourdough lady, and I met her through the farmers markets. But anyway, I brought their signature and their cinnamon swirl, and then some of their honey butter. So we have been snacking on those, and I wanted to share how wonderful the flavors are because it's not just me promoting them. They really are wonderful flavors and wonderful, they're wonderful businesses. I brought a tea towel there from 530 Home. 530 Home, actually, they sell cute home decor. They have wallpaper, they have notebooks, they, just different things. And I love going in there. And I go in there often and don't even buy anything because I love to look, and I have a 3-year-old who will break everything I buy. So I just can't.
One day, Stacy.
One day
you will do.
But I did buy the plate that's up there. It wasn't breakable. And then the tea towel. So I love places like that. 530 Home, I just go in there and I can see the possibilities of what I want to do to my house. And I love going in there. The last one I wanted to highlight, which really isn't a business so much, is if you've not been to the Zionsville Farmers Market in the warmer weather when it's open, then you're missing out. It's on the brick street. There's, so many businesses local that go there. I go there and get fresh fruits and veggies. I've got plants there that I have taken home, like tomato plants that I've planted. I will tell you, if you like egg rolls, head up to the Zionsville Farmers Market and the Vietnamese egg roll guy because, there's nothing that compares. Almost every Saturday when it's open, my daughter and I get egg rolls.
So is it open all Saturdays in the summer or just certain ones?
It opens in May through September, I believe. So anyway, there's so many options there. And like I said, that's even how I got to know about the sourdough lady. But those are really my favorite businesses, I would say. It's an amazing town and amazing businesses.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you highlighted the farmers market because that really highlights a lot of small businesses there. So thank you for the snacks, too.
Yes,
all
definitely.
of this stuff was amazing.
We're going to have all our guests bring us a snack.
New requirement. So thank you so much, Stacy, for sharing your insights and helping folks get to know Zionsville a little bit better. If our listeners want to reach out with you about Zionsville or real estate in Zionsville or questions about the schools or anything like that, what's the best way for them to reach you?
They could contact me by phone or email would probably be the best 2 ways to contact me.
And we'll have that information in our show notes. So that will be there.
And if you're thinking about making a move to Zionsville, feel free to reach out to Stacy.
Be sure to drop a comment if you have questions or a suburb that you'd like to see us feature next.
And that's it for today's episode of Hoosier Homes and Hustles. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's hustle smarter together.
We'll see you next time.